And good evening. Good evening, everyone, members of council, leadership team, those in the public gallery, and those joining us through technology in the comforts of their home. It's a pleasure to call this meeting to order. It's our second regularly scheduled council meeting for the month of June, the 27th of June, 2022. It is 6 o'clock. And I'd ask the clerk to take roll call of the council members present, please.
Thank you, Mayor Molnar. Deputy Mayor Barris.
Present.
Councillor Esseltine.
Present.
Councillor Gilvesi.
Present.
Councillor Luciani.
Present.
Councillor Parker.
Present.
Councillor Rosehart.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. And as is our tradition, we like to start this evening's meeting by expressing our gratitude and acknowledging the traditional territories of Indigenous peoples dating back countless generations. So personally, today we're connecting from Tillsonburg, Ontario, which is an area of significance for many Indigenous peoples of Turtle Island. Tillsonburg is located on the traditional territories of Indigenous people and is covered by the Between the Lakes Treaty number 3 of 1792. So as we gather on these traditional territories of Indigenous people, dating back countless generations, we acknowledge the Shinnebec peoples, the Haudenosaunee, and the Attawadarun, showing respect for the long-standing relationships that Indigenous nations have to this land as they are the original caretakers. Thank you. And just before we advance to the resolution to adopt the agenda for this evening, I'd ask our CAO, Mr. Pratt, if he could briefly introduce a very special new representative of the town of Tillsonburg, our new Director of Recreation, Culture, and Parks. Mr. Pratt, please.
Thank you, Mayor Molnar. I'm delighted to introduce Julie Columbus, our new Director of Recreation, Culture, and Parks. She comes to us from the town of Kingsville and replaces Chris Baird after a well-deserved retirement. So Julie, welcome to our community, and we look forward to working with you.
Thank you, Mr. Pratt. And exciting things in store, and Ms. Columbus has already been energized and has a very active portfolio. So welcome, Julie. We'll move to the adoption of the agenda this evening. There was no closed session. Councillor Esseltine, you have that resolution, please?
I do. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Rosehart, that the agenda is prepared for the council meeting of June 27th, 2022 be approved, and that council consider items under section 8 of the agenda after item 7.1.
Thank you, Councillor Esseltine. A discussion from members of council? Seeing none, we'll call that question. All those in favor? Opposed? That resolution is carried. I'd ask if there's any disclosure of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof regarding the agenda as now approved. Seeing none, we'll move to the adoption of council minutes of our previous meeting. And I believe Councillor Rosehart, you have that resolution, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, second by Councillor Luciani, that the minutes from a regular council meeting held on June 16, 2022 be approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Discussion or questions from members of council? Any errors or omissions, please? Seeing none, we'll call that question. All those in favor? Opposed? The resolution is carried. We have two presentations on our agenda this evening. First of all, we'd like to welcome Joan Weston. I believe Joan will be representing and heralding actually all the activities that are being organized by the Tillsonburg 150 committee. There's Joan. And Joan, thank you for your presentation, through you to the entire committee, and also publicly once again recognize Joan for her continuing efforts as the current Citizen of the Year in the town of Tillsonburg. So welcome, Joan.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Just having the schedule passed around to everyone, and there's a map on the back which shows where all the events will take place. This is courtesy of Staples, who gave these to us for free. So we're combining with Canada Day on purpose. That was a decision that the committee made so that we can have a full day of events. So from 8 a.m. till probably 10:30 p.m., our day is full of events for people of all ages. So it starts out with the traditional Station Arts Canada Day pancake breakfast at the Station Arts Centre. And at 11 o'clock, we're going to have the opening ceremonies and cake with Mayor Molnar and other dignitaries at the Station Arts. And then it goes to the flag ceremony with the Royal Canadian Legion at noon till 12:20 at the Cenotaph downtown. And at 12:20, we're going to have a Canadian Harvard Aircraft Association flyover, because that historically we have them here and they were important in the war. So that's why we chose to have that flyover. And then it goes over to the Annandale House for the traditional fun fair and the 150th birthday party on the lawn. And I know that Patty has very many giveaways for the children. They have to play a game and they'll get a free gift. And they all have the Tillsonburg 150 logo on them, all the gifts. There's a yo-yo, a frisbee, a beach ball, a slinky, and I forget the fifth one. There's another one. So there's lots of giveaways for the children and popcorn and candy floss and such over there. And then at 3 p.m. in the Lions Grove, which is just as you cross the bridge or before the bridge, depending on which direction you're coming from across the lake, you have the Lions Grove. And the Lions Club are having a dedication ceremony there at 3 p.m. And Avondale United Church joined in to celebrate our day by having a craft sale and historical tours and displays from 3 to 5 p.m. at the church. And 3:30 to 7:30, it's Strathallan or Tillsonburg Town Center sponsored the Kids Zone. And we have some inflatables. We have the toddler zone, a climbing wall, an obstacle course, a dunk tank, cornhole game, button and keychain maker crafts for the children, and free popcorn and candy floss, and a few other things. The Rotarians will be there. So there's lots of stuff for the children to do in the park from 3:30 to 7:30. And then also there, the Lions are doing a barbecue from 3 to 6 p.m. And at 4 p.m., the Historical Society is doing another dedication. We paid many thousands of dollars as a society to refurbish the stone pillars at Ross Street and Sanders Street to bring them back to their former glory. So we're having a dedication ceremony for that purpose. And then we'll have the cake that's in the park will be cut there. And former Tillsonburg boy, Mike Fisher, young man, I suppose he is now, he's Captain Corbin, the Magical Pirate. And we've hired him to come, and he's doing a performance on the stage of the band shell from 4:15 to 5 p.m. Plus he's going to wander around for the whole time of the Kids Zone and interact and do magical things with the children, or just interact one-on-one with the children. And we also have the Kinsman Beer Tent from 5 to 10, and the Canettes will be selling food beside them. And we have Little Ray's Reptile Show from 6 to 7 p.m. So all the children who like to see things I would never touch in my life, they'll be there. And then 8 to 9:30, we have Whiskey Jack presenting stories and songs of Stompin' Tom. And if you don't know, Stompin' Tom's son is one of the, well, I guess he's the main man in Whiskey Jack, and they have composed a special song for our event, which they will be singing that as well. And then we'll have a bang up fireworks display, hopefully. It doesn't rain till after at dusk. So if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Thank you very much, Joan. Are there questions for members of council? Deputy Mayor, did you have any summary comments through your participation on that committee as well?
Thank you. It's a good committee, and I just want to thank the committee members for going above and beyond and doing what they did. As far as the agenda is concerned, I believe Joan's covered pretty well everything. Everybody's ready to go. There's been a lot of volunteers, not just the committee members who have been volunteering on this. It's great spirit for the town. Thank you.
Excellent. Is there anything else for members of council, please? Well, I'm sure on behalf of all the council and an excited community, The July 1st is going to prove, and we only hope for cooperative weather. It's a very comprehensive, well-organized day, and we thank you and your entire team for all that they've, all the hard work and labor they've put in. And it seems to be an extremely well-rounded program. The one thing, as we're sitting on Tillsonburg 150, to the committee, and I'd also like to recognize our own communications team, but a special thank you to the Tillsonburg News for the insert publication celebrating 150 years that I believe was in last week's edition of the Tillsonburg News newspaper circulation. I'm suggesting it was extremely well done. There's a lot of history in there, and I think hopefully that's a keepsake that a lot of people in the community will maintain. So anyway, thank you, Joan, and good luck. We look forward to, as all of us, seeing this great community spirit on July the 1st.
Yes, and I forgot to mention, we're also selling our 150 souvenirs in the park as well. Okay, thank you very much.
There's no resolution, but with concurrence accepting that messaging from Joan and her team on the 150 committee. And it's now a pleasure for council to welcome the vice chair of the Boundary Adjustment Committee, Mr. Cedric Tomiko, who will speak regarding material information from that committee and a request that they have for council. So welcome.
Members of council, town staff, those in the galley here. I don't have anything quite as exciting as partying at 150 like what Joan got to talk about, but we'll go through this. I believe there's a slide deck prepared here for you. It's coming. It's coming. Oh, was I? Do you want me to just drag this? No. I could tell a couple jokes. Thank you for having me. Just to kind of give you a little bit of background on the committee. This committee was a subcommittee derived from economic development. We felt that last year through conversations through economic development that this committee was necessary. And so it is formed up by a number of committee members, a couple of council members, and plenty of town staff, and even our planner from the county, Eric. So we've been meeting now for about 10 months, I would say. And this presentation is a result of what we've discovered in that time. So just as a basic outline, you can just jump to the next slide there. Basic outline of what I'm to speak about tonight. The committee mandate and the role that we were asked to do, population growth, some other information that we've reviewed that we used in some of our key findings. I'm going to show you a couple of maps, and then I have a resolution for you and some next steps for council to consider. And as well, we'd like to ask for a little bit of further direction from council so we know that we're actually, moving the train in the right direction here. So the mandate of the committee, basically that all 5 of those lines are to say that we were supposed to review the growth in the town and to just look at the land inventory, what's available, and where we see the town going in the next 25 years. The role of the committee was to identify some strategic opportunities in regards to land supply and to increase that land supply for future development, and advise council on matters related to our future land needs. So a little bit of background. Most recent population and employment forecasts and land need analysis were completed by Hempson on March 2020. Tillsonburg was projected to grow to 19,240 by 2031 and 22,150 by 2046. Instead, Tillsonburg has achieved a growth to 18,615 as of May of 2021. And there's an estimated additional 1,000 people that have come since then. So we've reviewed some extensive information. All of it you see there, subdivision control maps, some sections of the Municipal Act, recent boundary adjustments that were done by some surrounding communities, official plan information and future urban growth areas, and a bunch of memos from the county and some preliminary service information from town engineering as well. All of that has led to, next slide. Oh, sorry, here's your maps. We've got the north end of town. As you can see there, you've got vacant commercial institutional lands in yellow, and you've got vacant residential lands in blue. These maps were to the end of 2021, so I would suggest that some of the blue at this point is also probably in more of a under application status than it was a vacant land status at the time. The next slide is the south end of town. And moving on. So the county forecasted growth is for a 25-year planning period typically. And we feel there's going to be some projected shortage of industrial land in the future. And we also believe that we could be out of developable residential land should the current trends continue in about 8 to 12 years. And that data is fairly simple at this point. If we were to have approvals on all vacant land information, we'd have what they would, and the math from the county has basically told us we would have about 3,000 available lots. Last year we went through 300 lots. So it's not hard to do that type of simple math to come to a to understand where our land's concerns are. Moving on. Next slide, sorry. Here's our, sorry, did we miss one? No, committee summary. Yes, sorry. So county planning has indicated to us that due to the strong growth that we've had in the past 5 years, that a new population, household, employment, and land analysis is scheduled to be prepared in early parts of 2023. In fact, they've indicated that they're already kind of starting the process into writing the RFP for that consultant, so on and so on. Or they will start it in, sorry, Q4, right? Q3, Q4, something like that. So the particular study, which in the past it's been Hempson, that's kind of the name that you're probably familiar with, is foundational for many aspects of planning and development. And so your boundary adjustment committee believes that due to the critical nature of this report, a professional consultant should be hired to not only review the current 2020 Hempson report and the recent work that the committee has done, but to also review the draft and the future report once this is available. A couple of reasons for this suggestion, and this, what you're going to see is the resolution from the committee. You know, the information that comes out of that report is kind of dictates what we do for the next little while. As well, the reason that we thought we should push forward with this now is because this will only assist town staff in collecting the data that's needed anyways down the road when the county gets their consultant in place. Okay, so it will eventually make sure that we have all that information that we're going to need to move to them come the time when they decide to move forward with their report, whether that be a Hempson again or a other consultant at the time. So now we get to the committee resolution, and it is, and I will read it directly, that the Boundary Adjustment Committee requests that council retain a consultant to review the existing 2020 population household employment forecast and employment land study versus current growth development applications and provide the information to town council and county for consideration in the 2023 county population household employment plans forecast, and that the consultant also be retained to support the town of Tillsonburg in their review of the future population household employment forecast and employment land study. It's a lot of words. Next steps. So we would refer this to staff for an implementation report, and the committee would also like affirmation of their mandate and role moving forward. Should council approve the committee's recommendation? Basically, what do you want to see from us next? And I believe that's it. Questions?
Thank you, Mr. Tomiko, and please extend through council appreciation for all the work that the Boundary Adjustment Committee is doing. I know the chair's in attendance as well. Are there questions for Mr. Tomiko in his position as vice chair and his presentation at council here this evening, please? Councilor Gervaisi, please.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, I actually just have a comment. Firstly, I think this is a great approach. And it's a very proactive measure to provide the town with its own statistical data moving forward. The Hempson report was outdated before they even signed the ink on it. So I think that this is a great idea. Thanks.
Thank you.
Further questions for the presenter? Councilor Parker, please.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Mr. Tomiko and the rest of the committee. Thank you for the work that you guys have put in. I had the opportunity to sit on the committee at the beginning. Obviously had to change due to my work schedule, but you guys have done a really good job, and I'm glad to see that there's a proactive approach being taken. So thank you.
Any further questions from members of council, please? Did you have any final comments? Any further questions? Oh, there's a hand. Councilor Esseltine, please.
Thank you. It's hard to know where to put your hand and what you would be able to see, but I'm going to start with an easy question. So in the maps, then looking at the maps, there are quite a few things that are colored in olive green, and in the it doesn't tell us what that represents.
Good question. What does it represent? Greenery? Open space?
Open space? Okay.
It's a town engineering map, so I guess that would be a question for town engineering. I don't have that answer. If it's not in the legend on the right.
Yeah, is that the, Mr. Panshaw, are you in attendance? Can you assist on the zoning map that I believe is, or the subdivision development map, please?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of council. Just in looking at it, there is a little bit off to the side, an explanation of that. It is environmental and development constraints overlay. So it'd be a lot of the open space zone lands that are ravines or otherwise that can't be developed, of course.
Okay, thank you. And just another question then with regard to then the reports that we're asking for. Will this information be duplicated by work the county does? Like will both the town and the county be doing similar reports?
You want to answer that one? Sure. I'll get that and see if this.
Thank you for the opportunity to comment. This work is being done very much in conjunction with the county. So Oxford County Planning has been involved in this. They're aware of the motion. And so they've actually already suggested some items to consider in terms of retain that consultant to ensure we don't duplicate. That will bring forward in the subsequent report that will be coming back to council if council does approve this direction. So we have that. Like I said, they've been great to collaborate with the county planning. They've brought some great information forward and helped the committee, and we'll continue to work with them, and that will be evident in the report that we bring back. Thank you.
So funding.
Are there any other? Yeah, okay, let's concentrate on the delegation and ask questions. Certainly a resolution will come to the floor where our leadership team can assist us.
Okay, then just one final question then for Cedric, if I can. We're getting all this information about, I guess, how much land we need and whether we need it for housing or industry or whatever. In the committee's work then, have you looked at where potential land might be?
We've had that conversation, yes, but there has been no formal decision of which direction we should go.
Are there?
That would be part of the next steps that I think we're asking for is if that's, what council wants to see, that we come back to with another presentation further down the road with which way we should go, then it would incorporate, talking to director of operations and town engineering and see, which direction makes the most sense in terms of servicing and where all that ends at the town limits.
Okay, so your work so far has been focused on the demand for land, what we need, but not where it is. That is something that.
We would have taken the first 2-3 months just to get our feet wet and understand exactly what this is all about. And then after that, yes, it was more geared towards, do we need it or do we not? At first, the conversation was kind of more leaning towards possibly this is not necessary. And as we dug into it a little deeper, we realized that, if we're supposed to be projecting 25 years out and we've only got possibly 8 to 12 years of supply, then, a boundary adjustment with surrounding partners takes, the last one took 10 years. So we should get started.
Thank you.
Excellent. Anything further from members of council? And did you have any summary comments, Mr. Tomiko, please?
No, I've said everything I need to say.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. And to the advisory committee, please extend that appreciation as well. Councillor Luciani, do you have a resolution? And I believe it's very similar to the material that the delegation introduced earlier.
Definitely in support of it. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Parker that the council for the town of Tillsonburg receives a presentation from the Boundary Adjustment Committee dated June 27th, 2022, and that council approves a Boundary Adjustment Committee request that a consultant be retained to review the existing 2020 population, household, and employment forecast and employment land study versus current growth development applications, and provide the information to town council and county for consideration the 2023 county population, household, employment lands forecast, and that the consultant also be retained to support the town of Tillsonburg in their review of the future population, household, and employment forecast and employment land study, and further that staff be directed to bring back an implementation report.
Thank you, Councillor Luciani. To the resolution in particular, are there questions from members of council, please? Deputy Mayor, then Councillor Gavese.
Thank you. Through you to Cephas. The timing of this, should council approve it, would that coincide with Oxford County's plans to proceed with this? In other words, how long will it take, or would you expect before the report is completed for council's approval? Review, not approval.
Through the mayor, Deputy Mayor Bears, are you referring to the staff report or to the actual consultant's report?
I'll say the consultant's report, how long it would take for that. The staff report would be subsequent.
Thank you for the question. It is a good one. The timing for this originally in terms of an updated population forecast was actually 2023 timing from the county's perspective. They've agreed to expedite that actually, as Mr. Tomiko was referring to the Q3, I think, and Q4 of this year. So I suspect still, though, we would not see a final consultant's report till in 2023, to be fair. There's a lot of work to be done as part of that.
Just for clarification to the question and your response, Mr. Pancho, was the question that there are two phases here. One is a peer review, in essence, of the existing 2020 report from a localized perspective, and then similarly to work along with council and the county in participating in the 2023 analysis, which you've just referenced. So but I thought the deputy mayor's question may have had more to do with the prior as well, meaning what's the time frame to do the localized peer review of the statistics that are already there.
Are you looking for a response from myself or from?
Well, if that wasn't your question, then I'll wait to ask it after Councillor Govesi. If that was your question, I don't believe it was answered. That's all.
No, that wasn't my question.
Okay.
My question was more concerned about the next steps.
Okay.
And when we can proceed to be able to cooperate with the Oxford County's preparation for this.
Okay, Councillor Govesi, please.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, in the resolution, it basically is giving the go-ahead to retain a consultant. So the report that's coming back from staff, will it contain information such as the costs and how this will be, how it will be funded?
Thank you for the question. Through the mayor to Councilor Govesi, yes, I don't anticipate that we would proceed without bringing forward that implementation report, including cost and timing to council.
If I may continue through you, Mr. Mayor. So what would be the importance of the peer review for the 2020 report? Because, I mean, I think we all think that report's pretty redundant. Like I said earlier, before the ink dried, it was basically out of date. So my feeling on this is the town gathering data and projecting the future so that if another Hempson report comes along, the town has the data to back up the argument that the new report that's coming up from the county may not be correct. Like, that's what I see being the proactive measure. I'm not sure what the benefit is to completely going back to 2020 and ripping apart a report that's going to be redundant.
Through the mayor to Councilor Govesi, that's also a good question. I think that the only value would probably be do historical numbers inform how you look at the future. So that would be the value, not necessarily going through the report with a fine tooth comb, but making sure that your base analysis and forecast are reasonable.
Okay, through you, Mr. Mayor, if I may continue. So I'm going to assume that more time will be spent projecting the future than it will be ripping apart the Hempson report.
Is that a comment? Are you directing that to anyone in particular, Councillor Govesi? I'm hearing silence.
Sorry, Cephas nodded.
Further questions, comments from members of council? I just, and further, that staff be directed, be directed to bring back an implementation report. So maybe it was my misinterpretation at the committee level, but now I'm seeing where the last thing after all the other recommendations in this is that staff bring back an implementation report. Is that to implement how we get to paragraphs 2 and 3? Or is that subsequent to the information retained in our paragraphs 2 and 3 that staff would bring an implementation on where to go from there?
Thank you for the question, Mr. Mayor. It would be to bring back an implementation report regarding bullet points 2 and 3. So this committee, of course, as all committees do, advises council or makes recommendations to council. So it has been reviewed internally, but we'd be bringing back a formal report if council does approve that.
Okay, okay. Would be more excited to know that we're actually advancing if we actually if we concur with the recommendations of the committee. I would suggest, when we talk about red tape and moving processes along, I'll also ask one question. Are there funds available responsibly, which I believe we were educated at a committee level, through either modernization or more particularly in 2022 business plan and budgeted funds to accommodate for this?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we'd be using funds allocated in the 2022 budget under strategic initiatives.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, thank you. I'm satisfied if that's the case relative to this implementation, but I would certainly encourage that it's something that is expedited and gets back. If it has to come back to council, then I hope it's back here very promptly so that the work of the committee can continue. Those are my comments. Anything final from members of council? Seeing none, the resolution's on the floor. We'll call the question then. All those in favor? Any opposition? Seeing none, the resolution's carried. Council has one public meeting on the agenda tonight. It's a court of revision as part of the process that's been developed in front of council as well as in partnership with Norfolk County. And Councillor Parker, you have that resolution to move into a court of revision, please.
Moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Barras, that the council move into the Court of Revision to consider any assessment appeals of the J.A. Smith Municipal Drain with members Marcel Van Hoeren, Dave Barras, and Penny Esseltine.
Thank you, Councillor Parker. Discussion for members of council. And we'll call that question. All those in favor? Opposed? The resolution is carried, and I will turn the meeting, of which we now sit in Court of Revision, over to one of the three members of the committee as present.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess I've been appointed as chair of the Court of Revision. And I just want to say that the Court of Revision is here to consider any assessment appeals to the J.A. Smith Municipal Drain with members Marcel Van Hoeren from Norfolk County. Welcome, Marcel. Myself, Deputy Mayor Dave Barras, and Councillor Penny Esseltine. I am going to ask if there's any disclosure of pecuniary interest for any of the three members. And seeing none, and delegations and presentations, we're going to ask Brandon from the Professional Engineer of Spreeton Association of Associates to make a presentation, or are you just here for a resource?
So I can give a quick rundown.
A quick rundown, thank you.
So tonight we have the J.A. Smith Drain. This is the Armtech realignment. Tonight's the Court of Revision, and Court of Revision we talk about assessments. On the J.A. Smith Drain, this being a realignment proposed by Armtech, they are assessed 100% of the cost. Nobody else is assessed. So for instance, nobody in Norfolk County is contributing to this. As well, all future maintenance is also assessed to that property, mainly due to it switching from a agricultural to a commercial industrial. So theoretically, the only assessment appeal to be received tonight would be from Armtech because they're the only one assessed. But we're happy to answer any questions.
From members, do we have any questions for Brandon? No. Seeing none, and the order of appeals, there are no appeals being received, as you said. Any other questions from members for this? And none. The deliberations of the Court of Revision does not require a change in assessment. Therefore, the script is myself reading this. Councillor Esseltine, maybe you would replace my name and read the decision resolution, please.
Thank you. Moved by myself then and seconded by Marcel Van Hoeren that the assessment as levied in the report by Spreeton Associates dated March 22nd, 2022 and adopted by provisional bylaw 2022-041 to pay for drainage works known as the J.A. Smith Municipal Drain be confirmed.
Thank you, Councillor Esseltine. For the three of us, we'll call the question. All in favor? And that is carried unanimously. Thank you. Motion to adjourn, Councillor Esseltine.
Moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Dave Barris, that the Court of Revision of June 27th, 2022 be adjourned and the regular council meeting resume at 6:40 PM.
Thank you, Councilor Esseltine. We'll call that question. All in favor from committee? And that is carried. Mr. Mayor, the meeting is yours. Thank you.
Excellent. That's a 3-minute meeting. Congratulations to the Court of Revision. And thank you, Marcel, for your participation with our partners in Norfolk as well. We'll move on to item 8.2. It's a zone change application from Aramis Real Estate Investors. This is zone change ZN 7-22-2. It's a public meeting that's held under the Planning Act for the purposes of hearing said zone change application. And this process allows any person in attendance or that is registered to speak electronically the opportunity to make a presentation to council. Anyone who appeals this decision has not provided council with oral or written submissions either at or previous to this planning meeting, then the local planning appeal tribunal has the power to dismiss the appeal. It's a pleasure to welcome Mr. Eric Gilbert, planner, to make comment on this application, please.
Thank you. This is a zone change to rezone the property from R1 to R2 to allow for the conversion of the single detached dwelling to a duplex dwelling. The property is located at 368 Broadway in Tillsonburg. And there's currently a existing single detached dwelling on the property, proposed to be converted to a duplex by renovating the dwelling to have a separate unit in the basement from the main level. No other relief is being requested. The property can provide the required parking and will meet all of the required setbacks of the R2 zone. The town building department indicated that a building permit will be required for the proposed conversion. And Oxford County Public Works indicated that only one water and sanitary service will be permitted at this time. Council did receive a letter of objection earlier this evening from a neighboring property owner speaking about concerns about property values and maintenance of the dwelling. Staff are of the opinion that the proposed zone change is consistent with PPS provincial policy direction as well as the county official plan policy to provide for a range of housing types and units within the town. And the duplex is a permitted use within the medium density or within the low density designation. And it's suitable and complementary to abutting properties. And there are a number of multiple unit residences in the neighborhood. Given this, staff recommend approval of the application.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gilbert. Are there questions for the planner from members of council, please? Councilor Gavesi.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Eric. I have concerns with regards to the county. So they're saying that there can only be one service and 1 meter and that the owner has to be billed. Is this, like, where is this coming from? Is this because this is an existing home and so there can only be one service? So like, what if someone builds a new apartment building? Does this exist too, where the bill has to go directly to the owner under 1 meter?
Through Mr. Mayor to Councilor Gavesi. So the current county policy for servicing is 1 meter, 1 property, 1 service, 1 property, unless there's compelling reasons why that's not possible. So in this case, they will have to sub-meter it inside the building if they want to have the water service separately metered. But the county is only going to give them 1 meter at 1 meter that they will bill from. But so it'll be the owner's responsibility to sub-bill if they choose.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, so just to clarify, like, so if it was a new apartment building, this would be the same 1 meter billed to the owner?
Yeah, there's.
I remember this discussion coming to council at some point, but I didn't realize that that had passed at the county level.
Yeah, there's one, even for apartment buildings, there's 1 meter and then it's usually sub-metered internally. But that's at the property owner's expense and they're responsible for dividing the bills, but the county has 1 meter per property. Unless it's legally divided through a severance or through part lot control, then they'll sometimes let them install separate services. But if it's only one property, it's generally only one service.
And three, Mr. Mayor, how long has that been in effect? How long has that been the county directive?
On planning applications, probably the 6 or 7 years. I believe it was in the last year or two where they changed the building policy as well.
Okay, thank you. I guess just my comment would be overall that given the direction of the province to encourage housing, I feel that this policy is probably somewhat counteractive to the direction that the province is giving to build more homes. It just puts more ownership, I guess, on the owner of the property and not necessarily the tenants that are there. Thank you.
There any questions, further questions from members of council to the planner? Seeing none, there are no registered speakers, but I understand the applicant or representative of the applicant is in attendance virtually. I have a Cheryl Boyd, owner of Aramas Real Estate Investors, Inc. If that's correct. Cheryl, are you on the line and did you have comment, please?
Hi, hi, council. Yes, I'm on the line. Just want to say that we found this property, my husband and I, and the property, the way it displayed was a clear duplex conversion. So we wanted to invest in helping the community housing crisis. So this is why we took on this project. So we're hoping it passes the rezoning. If anyone has any questions.
Thank you very much, Cheryl. Are there questions for the applicant from members of council, please? I don't see any, Cheryl, but thank you and your team there for your faith in the community and your opportunity to make this application. I have no further pre-registered speakers, either in favor, opposition, or with general questions. Is there anyone in attendance this evening at the council chambers that would like to speak in favor of, in opposition to, or has any general questions regarding this application?
Yes, we do have someone. If you can come up to the front, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Clerk. And could you please come to the podium and please state your name and address and then make any comments as appropriate. So welcome.
Is that going to be all right? This is my friend that lives across the street, and we live at 369 Broadway Street. And the home that they're talking about is a beautiful older home that we have lived across the street from the man that just passed away. I can't see taking this beautiful home and having somebody tear it to pieces and make two
Making a duplex.
things. Yes. Helen is right beside them and we are right across the street. I think it would be terrible to do that. There must be a family that would be able to use this. We didn't know that it was even sold.
No,
You know, like
wasn't
nobody
even-
told us
it
there was
wasn't
no
even-
sold sign on it.
it wasn't even on the market.
No. So I don't know whether that's the way things should go or not. When we bought our home, we had to go in, we had to look at it, we had to talk about it, and then we bought it. You know, so I don't know. What else can I say? You know, this is a beautiful home and it takes up a good space, you know, in the length. Our street is an old street. Our home is 130 years old, maybe. And each one on our street close to us is similar to that. So I just think it would be terrible to tear it to, you know, do something like that when,
Well,
when
there's
the
so
whole
much-
street is
yeah.
nice.
Well, there's so much housing going around and they're building all kinds of duplexes and
Yeah.
townhouses, and why destroy a beautiful home like that?
I just think that it's something that shouldn't be, but we're only two people and I don't know where everybody else,
Yeah.
everybody I talked to
Was gonna
did not
come.
like this idea.
No,
No.
but I thought they
So
were coming too.
We come. So,
Well, I thank you very much for coming and sharing. Would you entertain any questions from council? Are there questions
me
for
or
the
Brett?
present, for the residents regarding their concerns in this planning matter?
well, I don't, is it me that's supposed to be talking or them? I'm not very certain on what we're doing here. But I think Broadway, when you come in, is an old section. I know there's people that have like two families. And that was before I got there, so, you know, but I think that to keep it the way it is right now and spread out, this is already there. It is a beautiful building. It's on a nice piece of property. And I don't think they should
Yeah.
do
I
that.
think a nice family
Yeah,
would really enjoy it. Nice backyard.
right there, wants to say something.
Are there any questions from members of council, please? Councillor Rosar.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through to the ladies at the podium. Have they seen what they're going to do to the home? Have you seen what is going to happen to the home?
No.
No,
The outside of the structure, and I'm assuming the owner is still on the line, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
From what I'm seeing, the outside of the structure will not change. It is a beautiful home. I've been there. I walked the backyard. It's big, beautiful backyard.
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
But the outside of the structure, from my understanding, will not be changing. And maybe the owner can speak to that, Mr. Mayor?
With concurrence of council, can you make a comment, Cheryl, on the
Yeah.
exterior to assist the neighbors regarding the draft
Absolutely.
proposal?
No, the exterior won't be touched at all. We want to maintain the look of the house. The only thing that will be upgraded is fixing the windows, of course, to make it look nice and more up to date. And the property will be maintained. We're landlords that will do our best to make sure everything looks good. And if anyone has concerns, they could always come to us. We're very welcoming that way. And we see it as an opportunity to help more than one family, two families that could be in that house and kind of take advantage of the property and enjoy it. So that's kind of how we look at it.
can I say something again, please?
Yeah, your ladies, it's still your time. We're just trying to assist you with a couple of answers to your concerns and questions. So you go ahead, please.
We have one house close to us that's there, that's had a whole lot of trouble. They had two lower, like a lower and an upper. And
Yeah. I think there was three, wasn't there?
I'm
three?
not too sure, but anyway, it's an older home and it looked beautiful when the person lived in it. But they had two properties in one. And we had the police there every night. So, you know, I concerned. I worry about that. So is it going to be a very up-to-date home? So, you know, like I just find it very confusing why it wasn't like listed.
Well, that'd be up to I don't know why it wasn't listed, but certainly owners can have determined or would determine in any situation, opportunities that are available to them regarding the benefits of that ownership,
Yes.
not just germane to this particular asset. But I think you're very caring neighbors, and I appreciate your comments, and I take them as very sincere. So
Well,
did you
thank
have
you
any
very much.
final?
Thank you.
And I hope that everybody just sort of takes that into consideration. It could be your neighborhood someday. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else in attendance this evening, or Madam Clerk, are you aware of anyone else who'd like to speak?
No, I'm not aware of anyone else.
Okay. The only other comment, and not to put the deputy mayor on the spot, correspondence was received. It was referenced by Mr. Gilbert, and council has that. Is that, I guess, Madam Clerk, anticipated that would form part of the public record?
Yes, it will.
Okay. And then we'll move to the resolution. Councillor Govesi, please.
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Rosehart that the council of the town of Tillsonburg approves the zone change application submitted by Irmis Real Estate Investors, Inc., whereby the lands described part lots 604 and 605, Plan 500 in the town of Tillsonburg, known municipally as 368 Broadway, are to be rezoned from low-density residential type 1 zone to low-density residential type 2 zone to facilitate the development of a duplex on the subject lands.
Thank you very much, Councillor Govesi. Discussion to the resolution that is now on the floor. Members of council, please. Seeing none, prepared to call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That resolution is carried. So council has approved zone change application ZN 7-22-2. There will be now a 20-day appeal period, after which time the decision will become final and binding. So thanks very much, council. Thank you for your faith, Cheryl, and your team, and wish you well and good luck.
Thank you so much.
We'll move to departmental reports on this evening's agenda, and the first is a formation of the Joint Compliance Audit Committee. Councillor Parker, you have that resolution, please?
Mayor Molnar, there's another planning report.
Oh, I think there was. What happened? Oh, the additional residential units. I apologize. Councillor Luciani, is this a presentation, or we just read the resolution and Mr. Gilbert is here for support? Councillor Luciani, can you read the resolution, please?
Yeah, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Parker that the council of the town of Tillsonburg directs staff to proceed with the public and agency consultation regarding amendments to the official plan and zoning bylaw related to the implementation of policies and provisions enabling additional residential units in accordance with provincial direction as set out in the More Homes, More Choices Act and accompanying regulations.
Thanks very much, Councillor. Council will realize that this is a follow-up report to report in January regarding the additional residential units and the similar opportunities are taking place in municipalities across Oxford County. Did you have summary comment, Mr. Gilbert?
Thank you. Just since the last report, staff have done an updated scan of official plan policies and zoning provisions throughout the province. And the preferred approach for most municipalities seems to be an enabling approach where the ARUs, additional units, are permitted in single attached dwellings, semis and duplexes and townhouses with some site-specific criteria related to minimum lot size, maximum dwelling size, and requiring an additional parking space. The report does go through some of the considerations and the factors that staff considered when coming to the draft policies. The draft provisions before you would permit the ARUs in the town on all R1, R2, and R3 lots, subject to meeting specific standards. But to address parking, lot size, unit size, and requirements for entrances, as well as other provisions for ARUs and accessory buildings, either in the backyard or above a detached garage. Staff further opinion, this would implement provincial direction to permit them as of right, but still having to make, or still having to ensure that the factors that can sometimes cause land use conflict are addressed, such as lot size and other provisions for the ARUs. Staff are looking for direction on the public engagement piece that the town would like to conduct. Typically, a housekeeping amendment would just involve a newspaper article and a public meeting. However, given the potential impact of these, staff or council may want to go beyond that and have a broader consultation. So we're just looking for feedback on that. And staff should note that this is just one part of the More Choice, More Homes Act related to ARUs. There's other pieces that'll be coming forward in a report in September. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gilbert. Are there questions? We'll concentrate on Mr. Gilbert now, and then we can focus on the resolution that's on the floor as well. Questions, please. Councillor Councillor Parker.
Thanks, Mayor Molnar. Through you to Eric. It's more so of a comment. First off, thanks for bringing this report forward. I think that ARUs are definitely something that are going to be more abundant over the next little bit as prices of houses are up there, and it becomes more economical for families to do this. I think it's a great opportunity for our community, and with some of the funding that the county's made available for the ARUs, or that will be coming available, it'll be a great addition to the community. So I think that the public consultation side of things, a public meeting is definitely needed for it, just for comment. And I don't know how much more outside of that is needed, but thank you for the comment today, and thank you for the report.
Thank you, Councillor Parker. Further questions from members of council? Councillor Esseltine, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Eric. So Eric, this prior application that we had just before you've come up to with your planning report, would it have required the ARU amendments for it to pass, or is that something that could have been done on its own, like without any changes?
Through Mr. Mayor to Councillor Esseltine, if these amendments were made, they likely wouldn't have needed a zone change application.
So the new things that are allowed because of the additional rental unit amendments, are they all in place now? Like, is it full out open?
No, the provincial enabling legislation is, but all of our policies still do not permit them. So that's why you're seeing them on a application by application basis. But if these amendments would be adopted, then people wouldn't have to come to council for those type of things if they met the provisions. We'll likely still see some minor variances for some of them, but generally most of them should be possible direct to building permit stage.
And when would you project that that might be the case?
Hoping to have this back in front of council, like the amendments for a council decision in September.
Thank you.
Anything further for Councillor Gavesi, please?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Eric. So just your comments, basically then people won't have to come for zoning, but in your report, which was well written, it did highlight concerns. We can't double the density of every subdivision, you know, in Tillsonburg if people just start plunking up ARUs, which I'm in support of ARUs because I think it will address housing deficiencies, but also we can't have them on every single lot, double density, double intensifying each subdivision and putting the load on the water and the sewer. So how do you find the right balance to like proceed with some caution? But if you're opening it wide up, are you losing those checks and balances moving forward?
So I know through the Oxford County is doing a water wastewater master plan right now. And they're looking at whether some of their design criteria has to change to be more conservative, to anticipate more of these ARUs happening and more density happening in existing neighborhoods that traditionally would have been very stable. You wouldn't have seen that. I think the big provision that will limit where these can happen is the lot size. So in the draft zoning provisions, we've included a minimum lot size of 1,000 square meters for a ARU in a accessory building. That's only about 2,000 of the lots in town. Now, a lot of them are the older subdivisions that are larger, but some of the location, like, they won't be able to happen everywhere just because of some of the zoning provisions, and they won't be permitted where there's flooding or, through this work, if there are areas where there's a known wastewater constraint, that area could be zoned to not permit them at this time until those services are fixed. So through the circulation of the applications, we'll be having those discussions with town staff and county public works staff to identify if there are any particular areas in town where it's not possible because of some unique factors, and we'll build that into the policies.
Okay, thank you. I have one further comment. The public process must happen, but I also think that this could be sent out to like committees like economic development for comment, BIA and the chamber, like the regular circulation agencies, I guess. Thank you.
Anything further from members of council? Just picking up, either Mr. Gilbert or the clerk's office, what direction do you believe relative to the resolution that's on the floor that you would require to further expand the public engagement process regarding this opportunity? And I'm speaking in particular, a couple that were just mentioned, primarily EDAC or economic development in particular. And our own affordable and attainable housing committee, which has already actually reviewed this, but with any amendments and further options or opportunities, they should be, clearly at the table, bringing input back to council as appropriate.
So through the standard application process, EDAC, the BIA, the chamber, they'll automatically get circulation of these materials. And as well, I did meet with the Affordable Attainable Housing Committee and noted that when this was more finalized, it would be sent to them as well, and it appears a delegation. So we're just looking for a direction of what public events beyond a statutory public meeting that council desires.
Okay, anything further from council? The resolution's on the floor. I guess subject to the supporting that, I think the messaging is we have our public engagement policy. I would ensure that it's either met and is exceeded as far as communication and engagement with the public. And I think a primary example happened not more than 15 minutes ago when two ladies who probably haven't appeared, and I shouldn't say that very often, in front of municipal council, had some true realistic concerns, and they brought those forward. And the opportunity for that type of engagement can never be lost in more omnibus planning, balancing off with the elimination of additional red tapes and ensuring that some of these great newer options are also available to assist in the housing crisis that we're all experiencing. So seeing none, the resolution is on the floor. prepared to call the question. All those in favor? Is there any opposition? Seeing none, the resolution's carried. Thanks, Mr. Gilbert. And I believe it's Councillor Parker will come back. I apologize for that regarding the Joint Audit Compliance Committee.
Moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Barras, the council approved the formation of a joint compliance audit committee with the other Oxford County municipalities for the 2022 to 2026 term, and that the following members be appointed to the 2022 Joint Compliance Audit Committee: David Morris, Carol Simmons, Keith Riebling, Joyce McAndrew, Christine Skirminger, and further that the above appointments be formalized by bylaw.
Thank you, Councillor. Discussion? Call the question. All those in favor? Is there any opposition? Again, seeing none, the resolution's carried. We move to an informational report regarding restricted acts after nomination day. Councillor Rosehart, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, second by Council Gavesi, that council received the restricted acts after nomination day report as information. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gavesi, or Councillor Rosehart, excuse me. Discussion for members of council, please. The only question I have would be relative to received as information, consistent report. Regarding, is there any anticipated subsequent report regarding delegation of authority? It's referenced, but there's no acute recommendation as of this date.
So that particular restricted acts with respect to nomination day is already contained within the delegation bylaw. And so that was approved, I'm going to say probably 2018, 2019. So that's already included in the delegation bylaw.
For what? Purchases of sale of land, purchases of land?
So it's a
$50,000 limit?
It's a general delegation bylaw that delegates certain acts and powers. It includes signing of site plan agreements, subdivision agreements, purchasing, and also extends into the municipal election and restricted acts.
Okay. It's not attached here, is that correct? Okay, that's fine.
I can.
No, it's fine. I apologize. I just was mostly concerned about sale of property, industrial land and other things, and want to ensure that the opportunities that this council has provided for do not go unavailable, because there was a period of time where council was introduced with a resolution for special powers during the restricted period of nomination, and it wasn't adopted. And that's why I'm just trying to ensure that those options are there. So I think you've answered it. I appreciate that. Further, we'll call the question then. All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, the resolution is carried. There's a report on, I believe, the election accessibility plan, and thanks the team for this. Councillor Luciani, you have that resolution, please?
Yeah, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Esseltine that the town of Tillsonburg election accessibility plan be received by council for information.
Thank you. Are there any questions from members of council regarding this information report? Seeing none, we'll call that question. All those in favor? Oh, correct. Any opposed? The resolution's carried. Thank you. There's nothing under economic development. Under the BI, under the finance department's departmental reports, there's a recommendation regarding an amendment to the MOU with the BIA and the corporation. Councillor Gavesi, you have that resolution, please?
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Esseltine, that the amendment to the 2022 Downtown Tillsonburg Business Improvement Area Memorandum of Understanding to change the payment frequency from quarterly to monthly effective July 1st, 2020 be approved.
Thank you, Councillor Gavesi. Discussion for members of council? Prepared to call that question. All those in favor? Any opposition? Again, seeing none, the resolution is carried. Thank you. Also under finance and information is the Q1 COVID impact report for Q1 2022. Councillor Esseltine, please.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Rosehart, that report FIN 22-15 2022 Q1 COVID-19 impact report be received as information.
Thank you, Councillor Esseltine. Discussion regarding that report, some of the material contained therein. Councillor Goisi, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a quick comment to the finance team that the report was very comprehensive. I appreciated the 3-year breakdown. It is also very nice to see the rebounding of services, especially in the Parks and Rec division.
Thank you, Councillor Goisi, and through that comment, thanks to the contributions from all the departments that work together and have brought some of the material balance that we see in the report. So any further questions from members of council or comments? Seeing none, we're prepared to call the question. All those in favor? Is there any opposition? Again, seeing none, the resolution is carried. We move to operations and development, where there's a request for a building and bylaw enforcement supervisor appointment. And Councillor Rosehart, you have that resolution, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, second by Councillor Luciani, that a bylaw to appoint Mark Russell as a building official and a bylaw enforcement officer for the town of Tillsonburg be brought forward for council's consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Rosehart. Discussion on this. It's been introduced, the position was introduced to council on an earlier occasion, and we welcome Mark. With your support, we'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? The resolution is carried. And now what I was thinking of is the operational department's fourth quarter of 2021 report. Councillor Luciani, this is for information, please.
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Parker, the report OPD 22-21 2021 fourth quarter operations and development services be received as information.
Thank you, Councillor Luciani. Report to be received as information. Are there any questions at this point in time for the fourth quarter report? Seeing none, we'll call the question. All those in favor? No opposition. Resolution is carried. That concludes our departmental reports. There's no new business is recognized on our agenda. We do have consideration of advisory committee minutes. Councillor Parker, you have that resolution, sir.
I do. Moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Barris, that the following council committee minutes be received as information. May 25th, 2022, Affordable and Attainable Housing Advisory Committee minutes. June 7th, 2022, Boundary Adjustment Committee minutes. June 10th, 2022, Tillsonburg 150 Ad Hoc Committee minutes. June 20th, 22, Tillsonburg 150 Ad Hoc Committee minutes.
Thank you, Councillor Parker. Those minutes are now on the floor. Are there any questions or comments regarding any of those to be received as information? Seeing none, we'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, the resolution is carried. We move to item 15 on the agenda. There are no motions. Are there any notice of motions that members of council would introduce appropriately at this point in time? Seeing none, there was no closed session today. Bylaws. Deputy Mayor, you have a resolution regarding the adoption of bylaws.
I do. It's moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Gilvacy, that a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 3295 is amended. ZN 72202. A bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 3295 is amended. ZN 72112. A bylaw to appoint a joint compliance audit committee and a bylaw to appoint a building official property standards officer, and bylaw enforcement officer be read for a first, second, third, and final reading, and that the mayor and the clerk be and are hereby authorized to sign the same and place the corporate seal thereunto.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Council, you've heard the resolution, bylaws. Are there any questions regarding any of the bylaws that are being introduced for third reading this evening? Seeing none, we'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Resolution is carried. And the confirmation bylaw for this evening's meeting being the 27th of June, 2022. Councillor Gavazzi, please.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Esseltine. That bylaw 2022-044 to confirm the proceedings of the council meeting held on June 27th, 2022 be read for the first, second, third, and final reading, and that the mayor and the clerk be and are hereby authorized to sign the same and place the corporate seal thereunto.
Thank you, Councillor. Discussion? Call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Resolution is carried. Just a notice that council will sit as a council meeting and move into the shareholder meeting for Tillsonburg Hydro Incorporated's AGM on the 28th of June at 12 p.m. And our next regularly scheduled council meeting starting at 6 o'clock is on the 11th of July. Are there any items of community interest that members of council and staff would like to bring forward this evening? And we'll start with Councillor Gavazzi, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm actually going to go over to our new director, Julie. You need an opportunity to speak tonight. The question I have is inquiring children would like to know, number one, if the water slide is open, and number two, when the splash pad might be opening.
Thank you, through you, Mayor, to Councillor Gavazzi. We did get good news today that the TSSA inspection on the slide was approved, and so the slide will be open on June 30th as planned and scheduled. And I did send an email request out to councillor members and to staff today, just inviting you all to the grand opening, the first splash, we're calling it, of the splash pad on July 1st at 1 o'clock.
Excellent. Anything further from members of council? Councillor Esseltine, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a notice of a public event on Saturday, July the 9th. So a week from this Saturday, the Horticultural Society is having their annual tour of gardens, and it's called Garden Artistry 2022. And I believe there are 9 different gardens to visit, and tickets are $15, and they're available at the Station Arts Center, at Annandale National Historic Site, and at Tillsonburg Garden Gate. So it promises to be a nice Saturday event for people to attend. Thank you.
Well, that's excellent. Thanks very much. And I know a lot of the gardens in town, they're also supported by the Horticultural Society. So I think it's a good recommendation that the community gets out and supports them as well. I've got Councillor Parker, then Councillor Rosehart, please.
Yep, my almost weekly sports update. I'd like to send congratulations out to the McFarland Rollins under-9 Tillsonburg minor baseball rep team. The weekend of the 18th and 19th, they competed in Dorchester, the Dorchester Diamondbacks Summer Slam tournament, and went undefeated all weekend, brought gold medals back to town. So congratulations to them.
Congratulations, Councillor Rosehart. You had comment, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, to the public, there'll be a fishing derby again on Saturday.
Yeah.
And please, everybody, show up, bring your kids, starts at 7 o'clock, and they'll all be glad to see you there. Thank you.
It's confirming, Councillor, that's 7 a.m.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I
Yes.
just because the early worm catches the or something. Anyways, thanks, and thanks to the organizers for that. Again, it's going to be exciting to get back onto the water and be safe around the water, but also bring that spirit of community back at the fishing derby. So, anything further or final from members of council this evening? Perhaps just a couple quick hits from various things. The OPP have announced they're launching their annual Operation Freeze. This is an exciting initiative where OPP officers will be on the lookout in communities across the province, watching for youth demonstrating acts of kindness and exhibiting positive behavior. And the provincial-wide Operation Freeze campaign is starting this week. It helps police build positive relationships with youth in the community and reward good conduct by giving out tickets for cold drinks, and in our case, the Circle K convenience stores in across the province, including here in Tillsonburg. So that's a wonderful, creative and engaging initiative on behalf of the OPP. Tillsonburg District Memorial Hospital and their governance partnership with Alexander Hospital in Ingersoll have released their annual report. They just had their AGM a week or so ago, and now publicly able to celebrate the milestone as having their first same-day joint hip replacement that was done locally as part of the innovative orthopedic surgery expansion project here at the local hospital, in collaboration as well with Woodstock General. Anyone that attends the TDMH can now access local psychiatric services, and this program will expand, and as expanded, will help reduce barriers to mental health care for members of the community. And there's also expanded CT scanning support for inpatients at the local hospital. A number of initiatives that are going on at Tillsonburg District Memorial Hospital as well. And I think the final one, there's no COVID item on the agenda that appeared today, but I did want to remind members of council and importantly, the community, that mass vaccination clinics are still available. The regular day times from 9 to 4, both at St. Thomas at the Southwestern Public Health's corporate office there, and at the Southgate Center in Woodstock, and that the next two GoVax bus clinics, which is the portable Ontario Go bus system supported for portable vaccination clinics, will be in the back parking lot, 45 Hardy Ave in Memorial Park, is actually tomorrow from 11 a.m. till 5 p.m. That's the 28th of June. And subsequent to that is the 3rd of July from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. And I know members in the community that took advantage of that earlier this week when they were here with the GoVax bus. No, you can make an appointment through the contact details on this swpublichealth.ca. Walk-ins are available, but supply and demand may dictate your wait time. So those are, the summary comments as well this evening. And just a final reminder, thank the organizers of the Tillsonburg 150, the sponsors, the volunteers who will help make that a tremendous day. Also a great day to bring your young children and the youth of the community to celebrate the safety of water at Lake Lizard Water Park, and the first splash at the new free-to-use splash pad. So it's going to be a very exciting upcoming weekend, and we invite you all to participate safely in as many of the activities as possible. Unless there are any final comments from members of council, I would ask Councillor Esseltine to introduce a motion to adjourn, please.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Rosehart, that the council meeting of June 27th, 2022 be adjourned at 7:29 p.m.
Thank you very much, Councillor Esseltine. All those in favor? Opposed? Resolution is carried. Thank you very much. Enjoy your evening. Happy Tillsonburg birthday. Happy Canada Day. Please be safe, and we will reconvene on the 11th of July at 6 o'clock. Good night.